The Sony MZ-E10 was the thinnest and lightest mini-disc player at the time. Sony went all in to slim this device down. The thin magnesium build was just barely thicker than a mini-disc. It shared the MZ-N10 slim lithium battery and had an external shutoff switch. A joystick was included for navigation. The remote should look familiar. It's basically an RM MC35 ELK with a proprietary connector. It's hard to find a working one. They are very fragile, and the internal battery is usually dead by now. You also need a proprietary charging dock. Here's a look at the control scheme. I don't have a dock, so I'm going to try and replace the battery with one I charged in my MZ-N10. This one seems complicated, but just go slowly and carefully. Start with the top lid. After these two screws, we'll need to release a tab on each side on the MD tray. Here's the first one. And now for the other side. Once those tabs are off, we gently slide the lid towards the rear. It's still hanging on by an arm in a keyhole slot. Carefully slide that out. The MD tray is easy. Two short pegs are holding it in. A gentle flex will pop it out. Looks pretty clean in here. A single screw for this part, then some tabs. I use some tweezers to lift this side and will slide it out from the two tabs on the other side. Got it. Now be gentle, there are two flex cables underneath. We'll need to gently disconnect each of those so we can move on. I'm going to start with a large flat one. Gently flip up the clip. Pull gently and evenly. This is one of the thinnest flex cables I've encountered. Okay, now for the other one. Gently flip up the clip. The cable is firmly seated in there, so I had to grab it by the sides with tweezers. Okay, that takes care of the motor and sled. This blue part is the same battery as in the MZ-N10. It's hidden under this plastic, which is still pinned down. Let's remove the screw by the battery door. It will free up an internal metal guard. There's a small metal plate in here we need to remove before releasing the side door. Some tweezers will take care of it. Once the metal plate is out, a gentle push will release the side door. Once that's out, we'll remove the battery switch. Don't lose it. Here, we see the back of the power board that is the connector for the battery. People have talked about getting the battery out via the battery door, but there are a lot of locks in place to prevent that, as you'll see. Next, 3 more screws to release the metal frame around the border of the casing. After the 2 rear screws are removed, we can remove this metal piece. Last screw is by the joystick controller. Now the C-shaped borders can be removed, but be careful since the flex cable is there for the joystick connectivity. I'm going to just park it for now so I don't have to unclip it. Let's lift the battery cover since it locks into a plastic plate that protects the power board. Removing the battery will help see how the plastic board is locked onto the power board with 2 teeth hooked under it. Once we remove it, we can see the familiar battery. Just like the MZ-N10, let's unclip it. This came out of an MZ-N10 I had been charging. Same size, but some subtle differences. The one from the MZ-N10 has a small pad and the flex cable is bent the other way. Let's remove the pad, no space for that in the MZ-E10. Now I'm just trying to bend the cable into the same direction as the one inside the MZ-E10. Okay, looks close enough. Let's clip it into place. Once it's clipped in, we'll need that black plastic plate. When you actually do this, you'll see the plastic plate has two teeth that hook under the power board. Once the battery's in place, we'll need the black plastic cover for it. There are two pegs to line it up on the bottom edge. The black battery cover will also lock into the black plastic plate near the battery connector. Now we'll hook in the metal frame starting at the joystick side and wedging that under the black plastic on that side. If the power board and black plastic guard are in the right place, the three edges should slot right in. I need to straighten the power board so everything can fit in properly. Here, it's now in the right spot. I'll start with the screw by the joystick. We can then get the one below it, but not the last corner yet. Once this metal plate is in, we can get the third screw in. It flexes, so it's easy to get into place. Once the hole is lined up, screw it in. Now for the small plastic switch and battery door. It just slides in, the side near the top first. Oops, I put the metal locking plate in there too early. Let's lift it up and then lower it down to lock the door in place. There, that's better. Now for the screw. The motor and sled were connected by flex cables. Let's get those connected first. I'm going to start with the smaller one. It's a tight fit, so line it up and use tweezers to guide it in. Once it's in, close the latch. Okay, now for this thin flex cable. It's a little trickier since the other cable is connected, but it's not really difficult. Just line it up and close the latch once it's in place. Okay, now slide it under the two metal tabs on the left side. One screw will hold it down. Just cleaning a bit before putting it back together. We'll gently flex this MD tray and get it to fit onto the two pegs in the rear. Next, we'll get the arm into the keyhole slot. Once the lid is on, we'll have to secure the two tabs we undid earlier. One on each side. Lastly, two screws at the hinge. Not a lot of hope here, but let's test. Make sure to switch the battery on. No luck on the remote or the side LED. Well, you can't win them all. I hope this was helpful for anyone that has a working one. I'll keep looking for one. These were designed with a board connected to a thin case, and any flex could break connections on the board. For now, this MZ-E10 is just a pretty paperweight. As always, thanks for watching.